Welcome back to the channel. My name's Carolyn if you're new here. I have lost 230 pounds with the help of gastric bypass surgery and a GLP-1 medication, and I just recently had plastic surgery to remove loose skin from my stomach, as well as have a breast lift and augmentation. This past Sunday on March 16th, 2025 was my 5-year gastric bypass surgery anniversary. I really wanted to make a video sort of memorializing this huge milestone. At least to me, it's a very big milestone. Half of a decade where I have worked really hard to change my entire life. So I have some notes on my phone that I want to refer back to, and I'm just gonna talk and chit chat my way through the last 5 years with you, and I feel like I've learned so much. So this is gonna be just a chatty video. Get a cup of tea, a cup of coffee, do your laundry, or I don't know, listen to this in the background, whatever works. But let's just have a chill, wonderful time. So let's start with when I had surgery. I had surgery on March 16th, 2020, which, yes, a very pivotal time, a very crazy time to have surgery, and a very lucky time. I do not underestimate, is that the right word? I do not take lightly that I was very lucky to have surgery when I did. I had surgery in Virginia, Northern Virginia, specifically Reston, with Dr. Matthew Fitzer. His name is always down in my description. I scheduled surgery, I was cleared to schedule surgery in February of 2020, and the 16th of March just worked out so perfectly with where I was working at the time. It would have been the very end of like our month end close. I'm an accountant, and yeah, I picked March 16th, and I'm so glad I did because so I had surgery in Virginia on a Monday. And then a few days later, on that Thursday, the governor of Virginia shut elective surgeries down. I believe they didn't restart again until later that year, but I can't be sure. Yeah, the whole world shut down. My job went remote completely for 2 weeks. Ended up being pretty much 2 years of being fully remote, which was crazy. And I know that it's very sensitive, the entire COVID situation, because a lot of people died, a lot of people got really sick, and a lot of people were not able to be with their loved ones while they were actively sick or actively dying, and it was just a tough situation all around and incredibly unprecedented. And so I always broach this topic with a level of brevity because I'm very aware that it was some people's worst time. A lot of people gained a lot of weight during this time. People felt very isolated. And for me, I carry a level of guilt over the fact that it was probably the best time for me and my life. Like, I was able to implement the best habits, the best practices, the best consistency in my life because of being able to work remotely, being able to have total complete control over my food environment, and just being able to recover on my own terms. It was amazing. It was also a time where, like, a year-ish, I met my future husband, my husband. We started dating in April of 2021. And it was really just, gastric bypass surgery for me was the catalyst that changed the trajectory of my entire life for the better. And so I know how lucky and blessed I am to have gone through it when I did, and I never take that lightly. So I just wanted to say that. But in terms of my recovery, I had an interesting recovery. I would say I'm 4 weeks in my plastic surgery recovery, and I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt that recovering from gastric bypass was 10 times harder than recovering from plastic surgery. It was a much longer recovery. I would say I'm probably 75%, and I think, it's just getting better. When I was 4 weeks post-op gastric bypass, I think I felt like 50% myself. I didn't start feeling back to myself until I was about 12 weeks post-op. My initial recovery, I stayed in the hospital for 3 nights and 4 days, I believe, which is very normal for my surgeon. I know people, it's different all over. That's the hard thing with any surgery, is every surgeon is different with their protocols, but I was able to stay in the hospital for 3 nights and 4 days, and I needed every single minute of it. I had a very hard time getting in water. They had me sipping like an ounce of each hour, and I struggled with it, and so like I ended up that 4th day, which was a lot of help so I could have that IV so I wouldn't be dehydrated, and by the 4th day I was able to drink the necessary amount of water that I was supposed to in the right time frame. And then when I got home, I was supposed to be on 2 weeks of protein shakes only. And before surgery, I had purchased the Premier protein shakes because I kind of liked those and I figured those would be good to have. I ended up having a pretty bad allergic reaction to the whey protein. Called my surgeon and they had seen it before, and basically I needed to get a clear protein, so I ended up going with the clear Isopure. Yeah, it's just some kind of fluke thing that can happen after gastric bypass surgery where you're more sensitive to the whey. So yeah, I ended up to switch to the Isopure Clear, and they were disgusting. They were so sweet. It was so funny. I couldn't drink anything unless it was ice cold. And I had a really hard time just drinking plain water. So I would get unsweetened iced tea from Chick-fil-A, like the gallon jugs of it, and drink that ice cold. So interesting recovery there, but I made it through. And my transition diet was 8 weeks long. So the first 2 weeks were protein shakes only and water and like clear liquids. So I could have, oh my God, I had so many sugar-free popsicles. Like those things kept hydrated for sure, 100%. And then I transitioned to like soft foods. And then honestly, I don't even remember. But the last thing that I was able to like start incorporating at weeks post-op was like denser proteins and raw. And I can't tell you how walking through a grocery store, I think I was maybe 4 weeks post-op, and walking past like the fresh vegetable stuff. I don't really like radishes. Like I'll eat them, they're there, but I'm not a radish person. When I tell you that I craved a radish, like I was like salivating at the sight of a radish. I wanted fresh raw vegetables so badly because I was eating like really soft baked, I was eating really soft like cottage cheese, just soft, warm beige foods. And I was like, this is too much. But finally at 8 weeks post-op, that was when I was cleared to resume eating anything. I do remember that my first month post-op, I lost about 40 pounds. I started at 401.6 pounds. But on the day of surgery, I was 373, I think. Because I had lost 20 pounds in the 6 months leading up to surgery. And then I had a 3-day liquid diet, clear liquid diet before surgery that I lost 10 pounds in 3 days. Crazy. So yeah, I think the day of surgery I was like 373 or so. And I ended up losing 40 pounds in the first month. And then for the next like 3 or 4 months after that, I lost 20 pounds each month. And then it slowly started to slow down. I never really hit a stall until I was around 15 months post-op. In about May of 2021 is when I entered my very long 1.5-year stall, which I've talked about in my GLP-1 journey video quite extensively, and it's the reason why I ended up getting on a GLP-1. So if you're interested, it's on my page. It's my most popular video, I'm pretty sure. A huge question that I get asked all the time is hair loss. I actually have 2 videos on my page about hair loss. I did one last year as like an update, but I'll talk about it briefly here. So I started losing hair around 4 months post-op, which is pretty normal, I would say, in speaking to a lot of other bariatric patients. And it was a lot. I lost probably 30 to 40% of my hair volume, and it's not back to its full thickness, and it probably never will be, but it's definitely grown back a lot and looks much better. I didn't take anything for it. I just really focused on trying to get all of my protein in. So yeah, I don't have recommendations there. The hair loss started slowing down around 10 or 11 months post-op. And I started seeing new growth around the 1-year mark, which was great. So it does grow back, and it does get less scary, but definitely when it starts falling out, it feels very scary. And it's because you're losing weight so rapidly, and then also partially a little bit due to the anesthesia, but it's mainly because of the extreme weight loss and that it's happening so rapidly. So unfortunately, there are some people who say that they didn't experience any hair loss, but the majority of people who go through some kind of bariatric surgery experience hair loss. It is part of the process. It sucks, but I hope you don't let it deter you from a potentially life-changing surgery and lifestyle. If it is something that's deterring you, I think perhaps maybe you're not at a place where you're ready yet, and that's okay. Another thing that I get asked a lot about, which is pretty timely, is loose skin. So a lot of people are very worried about the appearance of loose skin, how much loose skin they're going to have. You know, when you're overweight, you're plump. Your skin is plump. Like my face doesn't look the same. I've lost a lot of volume in my face, lost a lot of volume in my neck, all over my body. And I have loose skin all over the place. Even with my plastic surgeries recently, I still have a fair amount of loose skin on my stomach. And that's just sort of the reality. I did start at a very high starting weight of 400 pounds. So if you're someone who is maybe in that 200 to 300 pound range, perhaps your loose skin won't be as bad or as impacting on your life, but it just depends, and you're never gonna know for sure. And unfortunately, despite what all the gym bros say, there's no amount of exercise or workouts that you can do to reduce loose skin. It doesn't go away unless it's cut off, you know? You can fill it out with muscle, but I honestly think that just makes you look leaner, and I don't know. So loose skin is kind of inevitable, and I know that is a fear for a lot of people, and also plastic surgery is so ungodly expensive that it's very inaccessible to a lot of people. And so, you know, I think people are looking at it as like, well, maybe I'll just stay fat or overweight or obese for the rest of my life. I'm doing fine, rather than lose all the weight and end up with having loose skin. My personal opinion is I would rather be in this body and have the loose skin that I have and not have had any plastic surgery than ever be 400 pounds again. My life is definitely nowhere near perfect after losing this much weight, but I can tell you life at 175 pounds is way better than life at 400 pounds. I was barely able to stand for more than 2 minutes before my back was screaming in pain. Brushing my hair was a very difficult task. Wiping myself was a very difficult task. Doing very basic things, standing in the kitchen and cooking for myself or cooking for my family. I would often have to sit down while I was chopping vegetables, or like take a break, like lean over to my back. Life was 10 times harder than it had to be because I was 400 pounds. I worried about every room that I walked into that I wasn't going to fit in a chair. I wasn't going to I stood out like a sore thumb because of my weight. And I would rather be in a body with a bunch of loose skin than 400 pounds again. But that's personal preference. And you know, everybody has to choose how they want to live their lives. I also get a lot of questions about, would I do it again? Yes, I would 100% have gastric bypass surgery again. And also I get the question of, if I had known about GLP-1 medications back then, would I have done that instead? And I lost 180 pounds with gastric bypass alone. I lost a majority of my weight with the help of gastric bypass. The GLP-1 only helped me lose the last 50 or 60 pounds, okay? And bariatric surgery still considered the #1 best treatment for obesity. Hands down. Like, that's just the science, the reality. And maybe for people who start at a lower BMI, but are still in that obese BMI class, my dogs are fighting. Maybe going with the GLP-1 first instead of bariatric surgery is the way to go for you. For me, hands down, I would have gastric bypass surgery again if I had to. If I had to go back and do it all over again, 100% would go gastric bypass route. I would probably actually consider the duodenal switch, which I don't think my surgeon at the time did. I don't know if he does it now, but I think the duodenal switch is a more restrictive surgery than the gastric bypass. It's newer. The gastric bypass is the gold standard of bariatric surgery, and so that's why I chose it, and it was more restrictive than the gastric sleeve. And my surgeon recommended the gastric sleeve because of my weight. So yeah, 100% would do it again. Absolutely. I personally did not suffer any consequences. I personally did not suffer any like complications. I do know people who have suffered some complications that have been resolved through medical intervention and stuff. I will say I had to take, I can't remember the heartburn medication that I had to take for like the first 3 months, but I did that, and then around 6 months post-op, I started getting really bad heartburn, so they put me back on that medication for another 3 or 4 months, and then that totally resolved it, and I haven't had any issues with heartburn since, unless I eat a lot of salty licorice. If you're a Swede, you know. So I have to be careful, but luckily I don't eat it very often. And my doctor said that it sometimes, you know, patients just need a little longer to help. But yeah, haven't had any issues or complications since. So, and I haven't had any nutrition deficiencies. I stay up to date and consistent with all of my bariatric vitamins. I still take bariatric vitamins. I highly recommend, if you are a bariatric patient, you should be taking bariatric vitamins. I personally have been using Berry Melts vitamins for the last probably 3 years. I can link them down below. Highly recommend. They're like fast melting tablets, and they're very good. I also want to try out Celebrate vitamins, which I think they sell on Amazon as well, but they do like calcium chews and some other like multivitamins and stuff. But yeah, I've been using Berry Melts for the last like 3-ish years. Do I have any regrets? Do I regret surgery? No. I think that goes hand in hand with like, would I do it again? I would do it again, and I don't have any regrets. It's truthfully the best thing I did for myself. And I mean that wholeheartedly. Like it just, yeah, like I said, it changed the entire course of my life for the better, and I couldn't be more thankful and grateful that I took the plunge and did it. Was it easy? No. Does it continue to be? You know, further out I've gotten, I have built the habits, and I have a really great foundation of what I need to do, but it is something that I have to consciously think about doing. And maintenance has been the hardest part, just mentally. The GLP-1 help with it. It helps with the food noise for sure. The losing weight, the fun part, it's the exciting part. And when it slows down and when you come to a point where you're like, okay, I think I'm comfortable, I feel ready, that this is my happy weight, maintaining it is not a cakewalk. Certainly not a cakewalk. And then I also get asked, like, how do you know you're at your happy weight? How do you know that you're at a healthy weight? Honestly, I don't think anyone can answer that but you, and maybe consulting your surgeon or your dietitian and figuring out where is it healthy for you, where is it sustainable for you to maintain that weight. For me, I feel really great in the 170 to 180 range. I like giving myself that big 10-pound range because I am a kind of person who fluctuates quite often, like a lot throughout the month, just because of my cycle. So for me, a 10-pound range is my sweet spot between 170 and 180, and I'm very, very happy here. So I think it's just feeling it out. For me, anything under 200 pounds was great. And the fact that I got as low as 170, I don't even, like, that's just cherry top, you know what I mean? So yeah, I have loved these last 5 years. They've been challenging, but they've been incredibly rewarding, and I'm so, so grateful that I did it and that I'm continuing to do it and showing up for myself and never giving up. I think that is the hallmark of being successful on this journey, is never ever giving up. Like, you have to keep going day by day, even when it gets hard, even if you're facing regain or if you're facing some kind of adversity. You just can't give up on yourself, and ask for help. If you need more help, ask for it. Don't be afraid to ask for it. Obesity is a real chronic illness that is not at all indicative of your morality or your discipline or your willpower. It is chronic. And sometimes you need more tools in the tool belt, whether that be bariatric surgery or a GLP-1 medication, or hiring a dietitian to help you, or working with your doctor, or reaching out to your community. And that's why I've loved sharing my journey on Instagram and on YouTube. Community and the social aspect has been instrumental in my success, I think, and it's held me accountable. So I think if you're up for it, like, sharing your journey on social media is probably one of the best things you can do for success, and just getting people in on your journey with you. I know that there are a lot of people who struggle with having not as much family support or friend support, and so I really encourage you to find your tribe and your group of people that love you and support you and are going to be there for you on this journey, because it's not easy, and obesity is a very difficult illness to combat, and it's lifelong. I will be on this journey for the rest of my life, and as upsetting as that sounds, I have found amazing people in my life who understand and who are willing to be there by my side and support me and help me along the way. So never ever be afraid to ask for help. If I could offer you any piece of advice, is ask for help. Just do it. It feels hard, it feels scary, but I promise you, as soon as you ask for it, it'll make things so much better. So I think I'm gonna end off the video before my dogs get even more crazy. So I apologize for any of the background noise there, and I'm like losing light. It's raining and getting dark, and it's, yeah, 6 o'clock. So thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions or have any video requests, leave them down below. Happy to talk about anything. Let me know if you like these sit-down videos where I'm just chit-chatting about a certain topic. I'd like to do more of that over here on YouTube, because your girl loves to chit chat and yap. So let me know, and thank you so much for watching and being part of the YouTube community over here, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.